Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. I've been waiting a while to do this video because I've been waiting for a payday prep to come in. But first I want to talk about a comment that I read on one of my previous videos where I was talking about doing a payday prep of this stuff right here, long-term freeze-dried foods. Someone mentioned on there that why in the world would you spend $400 on a month's worth or so of freeze-dried food when you can get so much more for $400. And I have to agree, that is a great comment, and I agree 100%. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through the rundown of the 4 stages of putting away food. That's why I put on the thumbnail, don't get this until you know this or until you do this, something like that. Let's work on the thumbnail right now. How does that look? What about this right here? Anyways, I want to go through all of the steps, especially for those of you that are just starting to prep. It's very important that if you're just starting to prep and you come across a channel that's talking about preparedness and saying, hey, look, this stuff is awesome stuff, which I agree that it is, and it's why I get it, that you don't think that this is what you need to get to prepare. In my opinion, and the way that I do it, there are 4 steps to becoming prepared with food. All right, and I'm going to go through the first, second, third. This is obviously the 4th, the last step that you take if you want to. You don't even have to do this. But let's go ahead and get started with step number 1. This, ladies and gentlemen, is my 72 square foot prepper pantry. And it's not really a prepper pantry when you think about it, because everything that you see in here, we eat on a regular basis, except for some of these long-term freeze-dried foods that I got up there. Right? But this is your very first step to preparing your food stuff to mid to long-term storage. And why do I call this mid to long-term storage? Because it depends on how much of this you want to prep. Depending on how much you put away and how much your family consumes will depend on how long it's going to last. But the very first step of preparedness for food is this right here. If you take a look around, this is all of the stuff that I put away for my family. And you can see that it is very protein rich in here. There's a lot of proteins, but all of these foods, in the manner that they are put away and in the manner that they are kept, look at the temperature in here. It's just shy of 60 degrees Fahrenheit, is a great temperature for storing foods for long term. So the first thing that you do is not go out there and spend a lot of money on freeze-dried foods. The first thing that you do is you go ahead and you get those things that you normally eat first. For example, do you eat bread? Well, I would recommend that you make your own bread. It's a lot cheaper. So there you go, flour. But in addition to that, I've got a 1-year supply of rice in here, just about 1-year supply of rice in there. I've got a 1-year supply of flour, if not more. And then in the bottom one, I've got a 1-year supply of sugar in these 65-pound bins, which actually hold a little more than 65 pounds. So you can see that I've got all of my spices that I would need in order to combat food fatigue. You don't want to get stuck eating rice and beans all the time without spicing it up in different ways. Obviously, I have all of the coffee that I would need. Anyways, I've done pantry tours before of this same pantry. It hasn't really changed much, but what I'm trying to get to is that your first step towards preparing your food for mid to long term is to make sure that you purchase all of the things that you normally buy on a regular basis and then rotate through them. That's your first step. Now, step 2, ladies and gentlemen, in your food storage journey is going to be putting away bulk foods. Now, I just happen to have an Auxin Farms pail of wheat berries. And obviously, I purchased that from a third party back when it used to be at a very good price. Believe it or not, I remember paying like 18 or 19 bucks for this a few years back. However, you don't have to purchase bulk storage from a third party. It could be as easy as getting some Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers, some 5-gallon buckets, and going to Costco and purchasing 50-pound bags of rice, beans, oats, whatever it is that you would consume and that you want to put away for long term. What I would recommend is to put away the driest foods that you can find that you eat, because those will last a very long time. I'm talking about 25, 30 years, and you'll still be able to consume these foods if you properly store them. Remember that if you're going to store something for long term, you want to have a good temperature that ranges from about 55 degrees Fahrenheit to no higher than 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And you don't want to have fluctuations in temperature that go up or down really quickly. For example, I just showed you the temperature inside of my pantry and it was 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, only because I'm telling you that 70 degrees Fahrenheit is the max that you should go up to, it doesn't mean that it would be good for the food in there for the temperature to go up from 59 degrees to 70 in, let's say, like an hour. As long as it slowly progresses up or down and it stays between that range, your long-term food storage is going to last a very long time. Your second step should be able to afford you to get a lot of really bulk foods that are cheap. And believe it or not, even though rice has almost doubled in price here in the last 2 or 3 years, it's still considerably cheap when you compare the calories that you're getting from the rice or even the beans to the dollars that you're spending. So it's still considerably inexpensive to get those things now and put them away for long term. And what these foods will do for you is you can take these foods out and they can be the ones that provide you with a lot of calories. Even though, for example, rice doesn't have a lot of protein or fat in it, it has a lot of calories that can help you get through the day and that can supplement those other foods that you have that are higher in nutritional value. Now, some other things that you can put away for long term would be things like sugar. For that, you don't need an oxygen absorber, but it's nice to put it in a Mylar bag anyways for that extra layer of protection. Sugar will pretty much last forever. You can get honey, maybe in the gallon jugs or in the half-gallon jugs. That will last pretty much forever. Even in long-term bulk storage, in my opinion, it's a good idea to put away salt because salt is very barterable. It's very important, and it's another one of those forever foods. So your second step should be putting away foods in bulk that you purchase in bulk at a good price and then package it yourself to put it away for long term. That allows you to avoid having to pay that premium for someone else to package it for you. The third step of putting away food for long term, ladies and gentlemen, is seeds, right? And you better believe that I got my cilantro seeds, all right? Can't do without those. But seeds, ladies and gentlemen, is something that you can put away that's fairly inexpensive, that will work for you when you need it. Now, you should be practicing in a garden. I am too. I'm a very novice gardener. So far, I've been able to do pretty good with potatoes, but I'm going to learn how to do, other things a little bit at a time. That way I can become better at it. And I believe everyone should be practicing on how to garden right now. This is when it counts. That way, when you need it, you can actually know what you're doing by then. But seeds, ladies and gentlemen, will afford you the ability to eat when you can see that you're running out of other foods. That's why I say that preparedness is something that gives you time to think. So if something happens, I've got my year's supply of food preps in my pantry. It gives me time to think. And then on top of that, I can supplement that year food supply with all of the bulk storage items that I've got prepped as well. So you can pretty much say that I have almost 2 years worth of food when you mix the things that I have in my pantry and when you mix the things that I have in bulk storage. Now that time may be different for you. We're all different. We all live in different parts of our lives and we all live in different parts of the world, right? So it may be different for you. But for me, those are the numbers. Now let's say that something happens and it extends out to be a lot longer than maybe I thought, and we're 6 months into this crisis where there's no telling when we're going to be able to get food. I start thinking about the next spring and I start thinking about my seeds and I start planning on what kind of a garden I want to plant, what we want to plant, and how we're going to be able to supplement the food that we already have stored away so that it can last even longer with the foods that we can grow. And as I previously stated, it depends where you live, what part of the world, what you may want to plant. In addition to allowing you to eat fresh food, will also allow you to do some awesome bartering if people around your area forgot to get their seeds. So before you get any long-term food storage, what do? Let's recap. Number one, we go ahead and build a pantry of things that we normally eat on an everyday basis. We build it up to the number of months or years that you're comfortable with, that you think would benefit you during a short or long-term crisis. Number two, we put away bulk food storage like rice, beans, wheat berries, potato flakes, oats, in a container that will allow it to last 25, 30 years. Make sure that you properly store it. Number three, seeds. seeds, ladies and gentlemen, and all of the peripherals that you may need in order to have your plantings be successful. Do you have gardening tools? Do you have gardening gloves? Do you have fertilizer? Do you have pesticides? If you use that, do you know how to make your own natural pesticides? Everything that has to go along with being able to plant a good garden, you should be concentrating on, but that there should be your third prep of long-term food storage. Now, some people may disagree with me and say, hey, you should be planting a garden every year anyways, whether you're on your first step or not, because seeds are not very expensive. And I would agree with that. If you want to go ahead and get seeds before you even start prepping your food, get some seeds, but you need food in order to be able to think, in order to be able to allow these guys right here to grow before you can eat them. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that when you first saw the thumbnail or the beginning of the video, you probably thought this was going to be an infomercial for nutrient survival. Well, most of you know who have been watching me for a while that know that I love nutrient survival. It is the very best and most nutrient-dense survival food that there is in the market, period. I've said that 1,000 times, and I've meant it 1,000 times. But you have to diversify. Just like you diversify in the food that you prep, that you eat on a regular basis, meaning that you don't just get one type of food and only eat one type of food all the time. You get different types of food, right? And you have different meal plans throughout the week. You have to diversify in your long-term food storage. That is what I like to call third-party long-term food storage. Why? Because all you did was pay for it. They shipped it to your house. You take it, you label it with the year that it's supposed to be good through, and then you put it away in what I like to call deep freeze or deep storage. So here we have all types of different brands of long-term food storage companies, starting from Oxen Farms. We have some banana chips here. These are the ones that were on sale not too long ago. Took advantage of those. I think they were like $9.99. Here we have some freeze-dried beef, which, if you know about the price of freeze-dried beef, well, not the price of this freeze-dried beef. I got this a heck of a lot cheaper than what it sells for now because I've had this for a while. But this comes from Thrive, a very good company. Obviously, Mountain House. Mountain House has been around forever. It's been proven through the test of time. It's good, tasty food. It will do the job. However, the only thing that's missing between these types of food and this right here, like this beef stroganoff, the only thing that's missing, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the nutrition. However, I still am an advocate of everyone having these kinds of foods, long-term food storage, I mean, and be diversified in it because food fatigue is a real thing. Well, AP, why don't I just stock up on twice as much food in the pantry and not get any long-term food storage altogether? Well, that's your choice, ladies and gentlemen, but I do believe that long-term food storage, like you see behind me here, does have its place in a prepper's pantry, and let me tell you why. Number one, in the beginning of any crisis that's maybe going to last a while, there is usually a period that's hectic. And during those periods, no matter what kind of crisis it is, it can be just after a hurricane, just after a tornado, etc., etc. Usually the beginnings of it is somewhat hectic. And during those times, you want to go ahead and shift your energy instead of cooking food and preparing food. If you even have a way to prepare food, depending on the crises, shift your energy from having to do those chores to just doing what you need to do to relieve the crises, to get over whatever the crisis is, to do whatever it is that you need to do during that time that would otherwise you would be taken away from doing that because you have to prepare food. Because no matter what the crisis is, people have to eat, right? So with long-term food storage, especially freeze-dried foods, usually all that you have to do is just put some hot water in a container, let it sit for a few minutes, and you've got a meal. Very easy to prepare, easy to consume, and then you can be on your way and do those things that you need to do in the here and now because of whatever crisis it may be. Number two, let's say you live in a building that has 100 apartments and you're the only one that had the forethought to prepare. Let's say that your pantry is full of those things that you eat every day, but you have to cook it. And let's just say that you do have a way of cooking it. Let's say that you thought ahead and got a camping stove and you have fuel for it and you have everything that you need to cook that meal. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when people are hungry, their sense of smell is a lot better than it is when they're not hungry. So do you really want to be advertising to everyone around you, especially if you live in a congested area or an area that has a high population, that you have food and that it smells really good? Normally with freeze-dried foods, when you put the water in them, it doesn't really make a smell that's strong enough that's going to travel outside of your domicile or your apartment or your house and alert everyone else that you have food for them to come and take or try to take. It depends on how many freedom seeds you have in your boomsticks. How do you like those code words? Number 3, ladies and gentlemen, it's easy to take with you. If you have to go somewhere, you can put a whole bunch of your freeze-dried foods, long-term food storage in a bag or something, or your go bag, and you can take it with you. It's not heavy. All you have to do is make sure that you have a way of getting water so that you can rehydrate them. And you don't even have to rehydrate them. Some of these foods that you see behind me, I've actually eaten dry, and it's just fine. You just have to make sure that you drink water when you're eating that food. But even if you didn't have a way to rehydrate them with hot water, you can always eat them and drink water afterwards, and you're getting the exact same amount of nutrition. So it's very portable and very easy to consume, either if you completely hydrate them or not. And number 4, ladies and gentlemen, even though I'm sure that there are many more reasons, and let us know in the comments if there's more reasons why you think that having freeze-dried long-term foods is a good idea to have in your prepper pantry. So number 4 is, man, it makes a great barter item. Think about it. You have one meal in one pouch, and it's a great barter item. It's already separated out for you, and you can easily trade it for something that maybe you forgot to prep that somebody else did not. So ladies and gentlemen, since this is my payday prep this time around, let me show you what I got really quick. Now, whenever I get Nutrient Survival, I try to get as much as I can in any one time. And that's because for here in Alaska, shipping is an automatic $50 fee if you're going to have it shipped to Alaska. So I try to save up and get as much as I can in one shot. That's going to last me a while. That's why you don't see me introduce to you Nutrient Survival in every single payday prep that I actually do. So this time around, I got me some Nutrient Vitamin Booster, which is awesome. This is the lemon lime. The coffee, if you've never had it, is awesome. I got me 10 packs of these coffees. And this coffee, believe it or not, will last my wife and myself about 2 weeks to 3 weeks, which is a great deal. Some people get put off and look at this and say, that's like 35 bucks. I'm like, yeah, that's 35 bucks, but it pretty much provides my wife and myself 2 to 3 weeks of coffee that we drink whenever we want. And then just go ahead and calculate. Even if you go to the cheapest coffee shop, or even if you go to McDonald's every day for a coffee, first of all, the quality, outstanding, and it's going to end up costing more than what one of these costs. So this is a no-brainer for us. We always stock up on these, especially in these packs that are a lot cheaper than the single serving packs. And this, ladies and gentlemen, this is a must-have. This is the immune boost, and this stuff is, I'm telling you, it works great, and I love this stuff. So I ended up getting like 10 of each, or 5 of these, I believe, 10 coffees, and I ended up getting 10 of these immune boost. The reason that I get so many immune boosts and so many coffees as compared to the Nutrient Vitamin Booster is because these are my 2 favorite drinks right here. These things are outstanding, and I just want to make sure that I never run out. As you saw in my pantry, I have a whole bunch of Café Bustelo, and that doesn't go bad for a very long time because of the way it's packaged and the way it's stored. But this coffee is awesome. And then, as you all know, Nutrient Survival, or for those of you that don't know, Nutrient Survival has a 5-day reboot kit that has everything that you need to eat for 5 days. And obviously you can see that I got enough here for a full month. And what I've done with my reboot kits is I've torn them all apart. I've thrown them in there. And every day I just pick out 2 or 3 meals that I want to eat. And this is what I've been living on for the last couple of weeks now, with the exception that I add a protein every other day or every 3 days or so. And let me give you all a hint really quick for those of you that have purchased this. This is my favorite out of Nutrient Survival. It's the Homestyle Scramble. This is awesome. But let me tell you what another favorite is. And I don't even think I have any here. Oh, yes, I do. My second favorite is this. Now, hearty lasagna and mac and cheese, the triple mac and cheese, they are good on their own. So they stand on their own. However, when you mix them together, it's awesome. I usually take these as a meal, mix them together, and then when it's hydrated, I go ahead and sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top of them. Awesome stuff. But this is my payday prep, ladies and gentlemen, and those are the 4 steps of prepping your food for midterm to long-term food storage. Now, I'll finish it off with this. Some people may ask, what kind of food should I put away for barter? I don't think that you should put away anything that's specifically identified for a barter, right? For bartering purposes. I think that if you're in that part of your preparedness journey where you've pretty much got all of the bases covered, we're talking about food now, right? Where you've got all of the bases covered, let's say in food, that instead of trying to figure out food items that you should get for barter, although I believe that freeze-dried food is great for barter. I believe that the coffee is great for barter. The seeds are great for barter. I would say just get more of the stuff that you normally consume anyways, because people always forget to get something. So if you forget to get something that maybe you just didn't prep because you forgot, somebody else more than likely remembered to get it and they have extra of that. Well, you may have extra flour. You may have extra sugar. You may have extra coffee that you can then in turn barter that for something that someone else may have that you need. I really hope that you got something out of this, ladies and gentlemen. This video was targeted more so for people that are beginning to prep, because I don't want you to be discouraged to begin to prep because you see videos maybe of things like this that are a little bit more on the pricey side. But the fact of the matter is that you do not need to spend a lot of money to be prepared. Right? If you get in a part of your life where you can't afford stuff like that and you already have all your other preps, that is great. But if that never happens, get the stuff that you normally eat first. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that tomorrow at 2 p.m. Alaska time, 6 p.m. Eastern time, we will have our regular Friday live stream. However, at 11 a.m. Alaska time and 3 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be going live with the Funky Prepper all the way over in the UK. However, I'm going to be here in Alaska still. So hope to see you all there. And other than that, have a great day. God bless every one of you.